Harper Audio presents Beauty Disrupted by Carre Otis with Hugo Schwyzer. This is Carre Otis. This book is not intended to harm anyone in my past. In sharing my life experiences with readers, my aim is to foster self-awareness and a measure of self-protection in young women of the present and future. In a few places, I've changed or left out entirely the names of individuals who have played a role in my life, in order to protect their privacy. I have also, in some places, altered details, locales, and other specifics to be sure these people are not recognizable, but in no instance have I altered or changed the stories that I am sharing with you. This book is dedicated to my teachers, past, present, and future. May we all be so blessed to cross paths with the wise ones, those who remind us of the inherent wisdom we all possess. 1. False starts. Barely of age. I could feel my 16-year-old breasts bouncing against the cool, soft silk camisole I was wearing, the whiskey I'd just downed burning in my throat, and my knees nearly buckling with every step I took down the rickety tabletops lined up to form a makeshift runway. Phil Collins' Sussudio, the soundtrack for my walk, was pulsing to the beat of my heart, and even shook the platform beneath my feet, making my gait even more unstable. My face was flushed with the realization that I was too young for men to be leering at my body, too young to be in this godforsaken bar. This runway was no place for anybody, even for a runaway scraping to get by. $20, I reminded myself. $20, and tonight, for the first time in weeks, I can eat something that hasn't been salvaged from a dumpster. That thought kept me focused as I pivoted awkwardly in my kitten heels and made my way back down the line of tables. With every step I took, I dug deeper to find my dignity. I pulled myself taller, hoping my face reflected a calm I didn't feel inside. Through the smoke, the blaring music, and the jarring catcalls, one thought pushed stubbornly past all the others. How in the hell did I end up here? Every life is filled with turning points, decisive instants that determine the direction we will ultimately take. Many such moments had already led me to this bar in my first modeling gig, and as I started to think back to where the journey first began, my mind flashed to a time a dozen or so years prior and a dozen or so miles away. Back to San Francisco, the summer of 1973, and what was the original turning point. Marin. I was sprawled out on the grass in the little yard behind my family's Clay Street flat, staring up at the gray sky. The lonely sound of foghorns echoed through the city. Almost everywhere else in America, August is hot, but in my hometown it was invariably dreary, cold, and overcast. I daydreamed as I lay there, fantasizing about a place my parents had talked about all summer, the sunny place we were moving to. It was somewhere, I was sure, that my family would be happier, somewhere called Marin County, and though I hadn't ventured there yet, I'd already invested a lot of hope in that place. We were going to see our new house that day for the very first time. For my parents, Marin symbolized success. A short drive north of San Francisco, it's where many affluent Californians live. Almost all the other attorneys where my father worked commuted from homes outside the city. As the suburbs were warm and bright, the schools were top tier, and the streets were safe. As I neared kindergarten age, my parents wanted to give my sister and me a chance to grow up away from the crime, the mist, and the cramped apartments that were the norm in San Francisco. Moving to Marin meant giving their children the best, more than they had been given, and it meant giving themselves and their marriage a second chance, too. My parents were both from the East and had moved to San Francisco only so my father could go to law school there. I was born in 1968, just 18 months after my sister Chrissy, and just 1 year after Dad passed the bar exam. Money had been tight during those early years, which caused all kinds of stresses. But by 1973, my father's career was finally starting to take off. In Marin, we could have a house of our own, big enough for my sister and me to each have a room, and secure enough for my parents to lay down roots. That sounded like heaven to me.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?